After the Hunt is a thriller that follows Alma, played by Julia Roberts. She's a philosophy professor at Yale who's caught up in a very murky situation. Her student Maggie, played by Ayo Edebiri, accuses her friend and colleague Hank, played by Andrew Garfield, of assaulting her. This puts Alma in a very uncomfortable situation as she's figuratively yanked by both parties to stick her neck out for them while grappling with her own struggles. So this movie has a lot going on. There are a lot of subjects being explored, including infidelity, ethics, generational dissonance. The list really goes on, and pretty much all of those things circle back to the word performing. Everyone in this movie is very concerned with the image they're presenting, whether that be to cover something up or to give others the impression they're looking for. The movie is a cesspool of people trying to sway others through their constructed image. The most loaded way this is true is the fact that between Hank and Maggie, one of them is lying about the situation between them. It's your classic he said, she said, Me Too story, but made for the screen. But it doesn't stop there. There are many conflicts and threads of ambiguity that leave you with burning questions, not all of which become answered. Like, did Hank actually do the thing, or is Maggie being spiteful? Did she do the thing Hank's accusing her of, or is he just lying to save himself? Are Maggie's actions a form of justice or spite, and is that ethical? What exactly is Alma sick with? Is she guilty of infidelity? What exactly was on the note that Maggie found and is hiding? And what will come of the tenured position that Alma and Hank both seek? Lots of questions, and some of them remain unanswered. This movie is less concerned with the truth behind these conflicts. It's much more concerned with the commentary on how we jump to conclusions and how we justify the stances that we take. It's low-key about moral self-preservation, how we react to uncomfortable situations by projecting our biases and prejudices on them, because our own self-assuredness is just our answer to discomfort. So the movie is not at all short of intrigue, and it's very philosophical. That is bolstered by the fact that we are following philosophy professors and students. So all throughout the movie, these characters are breaking down the nature of their behavior in ways that are sometimes just observational, but other times directly confrontational. The dialogue is often very eloquent. On one hand, that's very on brand. On the other hand, it's sometimes pretty heavy-handed. Being a contemporary film, it sometimes sounds unrealistic, but it can always be argued that these characters are teaching philosophy at Yale, so. The big thing carrying this movie is the pressure that has been put on Alma. She is very close with both Hank and Maggie, so the pressure that each of them are putting on her to take a stance is very heavy. Alma is Maggie's mentor figure, and she's pressured to give her validation and support. Much of Maggie's behavior makes us question if she's acting with conviction or if she's angle shooting to get Alma to take a clear stance. And the same can be said about Hank, of course, probably more so because he's in a much more desperate position and needs somebody in his corner. Since the details of what exactly happened are kept pretty minimal, we are really left in the dark, and we are left with nothing but Hank and Maggie's unique behaviors to really influence our consensus. That is especially true in the beginning in this long dinner party scene where everyone's together and you can't help but pay attention to every little mannerism and every little word and their reactions to things. It's all just to judge their character and determine if they are the type of person the other claims them to be or not. Though it's a very dialogue-heavy movie, a lot is communicated visually. The cinematography was very interesting. There are a lot of shots with incredibly wide aperture and many long takes. More interesting though is the number of shots that are deliberately framed badly. What I mean by that is there are a lot of shots that break the rule of thirds. So like if you look at the screen and see these intersecting points, you usually want to place your subject on those intersecting points. This movie frames a lot of shots where the subjects are at the edge of the frame and there's a ton of negative space. This makes us uncomfortable, which is the movie's central theme and slogan. Where characters are relative to the camera says a lot in this movie. You'll really want to pay close attention for maximum enjoyment. The movie had some good performances. Andrew Garfield was certainly a standout. As someone who's in very dark waters, his character is very aggressive at times, and his performance really shines in those moments. While I'm not necessarily crazy about Ayo Edebiri's performance, she was still a good casting choice. She's very soft and seems innocent by nature, and that is a thing that really challenges the way we see her. And then of course we have Julia Roberts, who also delivers a great performance. It's definitely not the powerhouse lead performance that I was hoping for, but it's still pretty solid. So as mentioned, this movie is very busy with the amount of conflicts. Certainly not too many to follow, but so many that it jumps back and forth between that it's hard to stay invested in all of them. Mind you, I did not even mention all of them earlier. The one about Hank and Alma going after the same position, very much felt like an afterthought because without it, Alma is just a reactive protagonist and she's not really trying to do anything. So she has that, but it feels underdeveloped because it feels hardly relevant when compared to the monumental conflicts surrounding that. There's also a slow-burning subplot about something in Alma's past that doesn't really add anything to the story. It makes her feel like a protagonist, but it doesn't really do anything for the film's nuance. If anything, it actually undermines it by leading up to this point where the movie takes a pretty hard stance on the big topic and makes pretty heavy criticisms about the younger generations. This is the thing that will likely piss a lot of people off, because regardless of whether or not Maggie is being truthful, it's just kind of an insensitive stance to take. As much as the movie generally does a good job of walking the line between two sides, it very much did not do a good job at this point at evoking sympathy in us for how Gen Z generally likes to process things. But it could be said that this is just a harsh reminder of what this movie is imparting. Not everything is supposed to make us feel comfortable. We really should not be all the time. The reality is that we have different perceptions and different ways of processing things, and we should be a lot more comfortable with talking about them. But yeah, it kind of feels like more could have been said on Maggie's side in defense of the scathing critique that is thrown at her generation. And in the end, there could have been more closure. There are several loose ends the movie doesn't tie up or give a satisfying conclusion to. But again, it's less about what happened and more so about how we respond to these situations without knowing everything, how people tend to impulsively jump to the narrative that best suits their values. So I came out wanting to see this again. It's definitely not a movie you can form a solid opinion on in just one viewing, and there's really a lot to peel back. It's definitely not Luca Guadagnino's best work, but it's through his solid directorial work that it's even interesting. This script in a different director's hands could lead to some pretty bad results. So all things considered, I thought this was decent. It has lots of intrigue and very interesting character study elements, but the sheer amount of conflicts and the lack of closure on them can make it somewhat frustrating. If you're the type of viewer who really likes to peel back characters to form opinions about them, you might really enjoy this movie. But honestly, I think that a lot of people will be bothered by it, if not be outright furious with it. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. Please give it a like if it brought you any value at all, and I will see you next week with my review of Blue Moon.